Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Orange Zoning Board of Appeals meeting of September 13th, 2021. Before we begin, I'd just like to introduce the members and staff in the room here. To my right, I have Pat Panza, David Crow, Greg Natalino, Matt Pickering's on the phone. You hear me, Matt? Matt?
Yes, I can.
Okay, my name's Noah Eisenhandler. In addition, we have our Deb Satanik here, and Bonnie Sayet, and Jack Demerkin, the zoning officer. Am I pronouncing your last name right, Jack?
Virgin.
Yeah, close enough. All right. Before we go on, has everybody had an opportunity to review the minutes of the August 2nd meeting? And if there is there a motion to accept the minutes as written?
I make a motion to accept.
Okay. Pat makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second it.
Greg seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And I saw the little blurb in there about, unanimous, about Rudy. All right.
Yep.
Before we begin, just a couple announcements. We do have a full board tonight, which means that you need 4 positive votes for their variance that you requested to be granted. Any variance granted must be filed within town clerk within 1 year, and the variance must be acted upon within 1 year. All people who are going to address the board, we'll ask them to do up at the podium to the right and state your name and address for the record. You'll be given an opportunity to state your case. Questions will be asked. Anybody in opposition, they have the right to come up, or remotely. I don't know if there's anybody remotely, Jack, on that.
Nobody remotely.
Normal. Well, if there was, they would have the right to come up and state their position, and if there was opposition, the person, the applicant would be given a short rebuttal time to do that. All right. We have one matter down tonight. Let me read it here. We have petition number 18. There it is. Notice is hereby given that the Orange Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a meeting on Monday, September 13th, 2021, 7 p.m. in the Orange Town Hall, 617 Orange Center Road, to conduct a public hearing on the following. Petition number 1821, submitted by Robert and Tracy Bosek, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, for property known as 658 Ridge Road, a variance of 383-31, parentheses B, regarding minimum ground coverage has been requested. Application materials are on file in the Orange Zoning Office. A copy of this notice has been filed with the Orange Town Clerk, dated in Orange, Connecticut, this 26th day of August, 2021. No ayes in the chair and Orange Zoning Board of Appeals. All right, so one matter. Let's call matter number 1821. Please identify yourself for the record and come on up. Now, this is just to be clear. This was before the board, I think, in July,
Yes.
if I'm not mistaken. But that application was withdrawn, and this is a whole new application.
I'll be out there.
And the record is what's been submitted. And I believe we didn't act upon that last
No, we
one.
didn't.
So,
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, staff. My name is Kevin Cursaden, Curseaden. My office is at 3 Lafayette Street in Milford. I'm here tonight with Mr. Bosek, one of the applicants. It's him and his wife, Tracy, and his family making this application tonight. This application, as the chairman read and as it states, it's specifically limited to maximum ground coverage where 10% is allowed. And we're asking for about 17%. I think when you actually do the numbers, it's a little bit less than 17%, but we erred on the side of caution and are asking for 17%. Hardships that exist with this lot, the lot does not meet the minimum frontage, so it's narrow for the zone, and it also does not meet the minimum square. So what that means from a development perspective over the years is that the current structures are placed on a lot in a certain size and manner that complies with the zoning regulations and the setbacks over time, and what's left is the available space in the back of the lot for development. So it's not a complicated application. It's a pretty straightforward application. The lot is compliant in other ways. Like I said, the lot width is narrow for the zone, does not meet the minimum square requirement. The topography of the lot and the location of existing structures and existing conditions, and then the lot's a little bit unique shape. So there are hardships that are particular to this lot that would support a variance approval. As you know, a variance can be granted when there's a hardship, something that arises within the regulations, and it's our position that the regulations that there's a little bit of uniqueness, and I had a quick conversation with Jack about this, I don't know if it was like 2 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. The regulations do allow for increased coverage over the 10% by special use. So it prompted my question, can we go just to the Planning and Zoning Board? And this board should know that if this is approved, there's still a review process by the Planning and Zoning Board. As a site plan, it's a special use application for this type of use. So it would be reviewed by that board and by, I assume, the engineering department, Jack's office, and the Planning and Zoning Board in special use site plan approval. So one of the things that I look at when I look at these is what would be the original purpose of the lot coverage requirement, and the original purpose probably has to do to some extent with stormwater management, rainwater runoff, and so you don't have a lot that's all impervious surface. And in this particular case, there's still, we're asking for 17%, which is 7% over the 10% that's currently allowed. So there would be another set of eyes if the board found a hardship and granted this variance tonight. The applicant did, and like you said, it was before them, an application was filed before there was some defects, I think, in those plans. The applicant took the time and went back and got the plans squared away and really tried to make sure it was zoning compliant with everything else possible. And Mr. Bosek's here tonight. He can give you a rundown of what the planned use is, just so you have an idea to put this in a little context. And he also has a neighbor, one of the adjacent neighbors, Mr. Longobardi, who's here tonight as well to speak. So pending your questions.
But what is the hardship?
Yeah.
The hardship is the fact that you have a lot that does not have the required frontage. It's narrow. You cannot fit the minimum square on the lot, and so what happens is the way that the property is developed. It feeds the existing structures, and so it has those size and locations, so it brings us to a certain coverage. And then we're asking for, removing the garage in the back would be removed and replaced, so it's not there is some give and take there as far as the amount of square footage that it is replacing. So those are the hardships for the coverage.
How old is the house?
How old is the house?
1989.
1989.
All right, so do you know if he had to get a variance to place the house where he is here? Or?
I don't. He purchased the house long after it was built, so I don't think so.
No, it meets.
Yeah. The house meets the setback.
It wasn't the fact that there's no other spot to put this. It's just there's no.
It's not, yeah, and it's not so much that, well, there's really, because of the septic system, the way the lot's been developed, there really isn't any other spot. But it's also, when you have lots like this, this lot has probably existed since at least the late 70s or 80s. As they're developed over time, the coverage is added or accrued based on the current zoning regulations. I'm not aware of any other variances that have been given for this lot. So
It doesn't appear that there was any given, because they usually put them in the notes.
yeah, and I don't think that there were.
But there's a lot of lots like this in town. I mean, with this rectangular.
Yeah.
My question is this, you would have the same issue if this lot was compliant with the frontage, correct? Because what you're asking for is a coverage. What you're asking for is a coverage variance, lot coverage variance. So even if the lot was in complete compliance with frontage and everything else, you would still need a variance for lot coverage, correct?
See, Mr. Crowe, I thought about that a lot because that was my, question as
Right.
well, and I figured it would come up. I figured it would come up tonight. I don't.
And you please call me Dave.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Crow's still my father.
Okay,
so.
thanks, Dave. So I thought about that question a lot with respect to this property, and I don't necessarily think so. I might not be articulating it clearly because I have been thinking about this a lot the past week or so.
And tell me what you think.
So I think that I don't necessarily think that if it was the width, we would be able to do that. I don't know that we can tell because the way the lot is developed is based on the lot's width and the frontage and the topography and the way the lot is and where the septic system was placed or could have been placed. So if the lot was 150 feet wide and you could put the minimum square, maybe if I say it this way, it might be a little bit more clear. I'm not sure that it would have been developed in the same manner or that the structures would have been the same size or they would have been in a different configuration that would have left it, with more coverage available.
Okay, let me see if I understand you then. What you're saying is that if it had been fully compliant, perhaps these structures would have been arranged differently? Is that what you're saying? Or possibly different sizes or different positions?
I think either.
Whether it would change the coverage at that
Yes.
point? Okay.
Yes, because I think that, we can't go back and understand, each step of why each structure was placed where it was at
I
the time.
appreciate that.
So, yes, that's a better way.
But all the structures, except the proposed structure, is in compliance with the zoning regs.
Yes, and this structure is in compliance except for coverage.
But
This
it's
proposed
compliant,
structure.
But coverage is part of the
Yes, but it's compliant with every other,
setback, side yard.
the setbacks and with every other.
It's just the coverage.
Right, it's just the coverage, it's every other provision. So it's hard, sometimes you can do a forensic zoning recreation of it, and if you look at the file, there wasn't a lot of information necessarily available, and you can kind of see how it was developed.
Right.
But, so I'm hesitant to agree that if it were as wide as it should have been, that you wouldn't have the same issue.
It's
appreciate
coverage,
that.
though.
Thank you.
It's not placement, it's just coverage. It's, the regs allow 10 and you.
Right, but, no, I understand, Mr. Chairman, but my point is that the way the lot is configured drives the earlier development of it. So I think that if the lot were fully compliant, the lot may have been developed in a different manner with different configuration of houses. Well, if you talk to architects or designers, they have, engineers, they have different ways of viewing things. I'm not, artistic, and I don't have the engineer mindset, but, they approach things entirely differently if the lots are, depending on whether the lots are fully compliant or whether the lots are slightly uniquely shaped. So that's what in this particular, I understand the question, and I understand that's a hurdle, but I don't, another way to phrase it is that there are sufficient deficiencies with the lot to support a hardship.
It's not, under that reasoning, every lot, if you can't build what you want, is a hardship. But you indicate the shape of the lot. Yeah, if it was a bigger lot, this wouldn't be an issue. But it not be facetious, but it is what it is, and you built a house.
Well, you're doubling your coverage,
Right.
essentially.
What's the
even
current
with the-
coverage is?
6,300,
Yeah, you got the-
and
yeah.
they're adding another 6,300 minus the 900 of the existing garage. It's going to be
Yeah.
Removed,
Well, you don't minus the 900 because it's just,
because it's still
on
a
top.
footprint.
Well, it's a wash.
Yeah, it's still a footprint.
Right.
You said, I'm sorry,
no, go ahead, Ben.
you had mentioned in your initial dissertation about when they did the original, came in front of the board, there were some deficiencies, and they went back and did some drawings and things.
Pat,
like
turn
that.
on your thing.
I think it's on.
It's
Sorry.
on. It's on. So anyway, to make a long story short, we see no drawings. Do you have anything else to substantiate this square? In other words, you
whether
have
the-
this.
Yeah, well, this is what was provided by the engineering firm. This plan was not sufficient for
Okay.
for
They didn't
for
have a
variance
survey. They didn't have an
application.
A2 survey.
It
No, I
wasn't.
know. I
yeah.
understand that. But you have a structure here.
Yeah.
That's 90 by 70.
Yeah,
Okay, on a large structure.
yeah.
And it says gaming and stuff of that sort. Are you running events? Of this size, magnitude, if it was smaller, this would not be an issue as far
Right.
as coverage
Right.
goes. So I'm trying to wrap my arms around this structure as far as why you need it this large.
Let me, I'll answer part of the question, and then I think Mr. Bosick can answer the rest of the question. There's definitely no intent to use it as for events or business or commercial. It's solely family, and Mr. Bosick, if you want to come up, you can explain what the use, their intended use is.
Could you identify yourself, sir?
Hi guys, I'm Rob Bosek from 658 Ridge Road in Orange. I just a little background about me. I'm from Orange originally. My parents still live on Night Lane. I went through the whole school system, Peck Place, middle school, high school. Last year I sat on the Board of Finance. I don't know if you guys might recognize my name. But in terms of the garage, both my kids are very, very active in sports. They would be here now, but my daughter's at gymnastics and my son's at soccer practice. So when you say the size, I know on the paper it seems very large, but he also plays basketball. So in order to play, a basketball regulation court is 84 by 54, I believe 55. And my daughter does gymnastics. And then I already have the existing garage, which, my wife and I are also very active. We work out 5 days a week. John, my neighbor, can contest to that. So there's going to be a little area to work out. I have my tractor, for mowing the lawn. Then there's going to be a little area for my daughter. She does gymnastics. So she has tumble tracks and all the stuff that's in, right now it's in my house.
So it's a
in my
full-size basketball court.
So it's a full-size
Should
basketball
there
court.
be toilets in there?
There's going to be no toilets in there, no running water, no, because it's just going to be family and friends. There's not going to be anybody coming over that I don't know, because I have to know them if they're going to come in my house and use the bathroom. They're going to be a friend.
I think to go along with Pat's point, how many stories are you looking at here? We don't see any plans for the building.
Basketball court?
With basketball court,
Basketball court.
gymnastics.
Well, I was going to go. It's going to be 24 feet to the pitch.
Okay.
20 feet, on the sides, because with a basketball hoop, the top of the backboard is actually 14 feet.
Right.
So the hoop is 10 feet. And
Yeah.
if I go 15 feet, you're going to shoot. The ball's going to be hitting. It's going to be hitting the rafters every time you
Bank
shoot.
it off the ceiling, yeah.
So 20 feet would be enough so you can, still take a shot. But basketball is a secondary sport. Both my kids actually play indoor soccer.
Okay.
So they're going to probably use the court more for indoor soccer than basketball. And that's why when you say it's so big, basketball, you could probably get away with a half court. But indoor soccer, you can't. My son played on a national team. They went to Atlantic City, won the tournament last year. And, so it's called futsal, and it's 5v5. And you put a goal on, one end, but it's 120 by 60. So I'm already cutting it down to, the 90. You got to have a few feet on each side because you can't have kids smashing into the walls. So I got to have a little space outside, but it's more for practicing for soccer and for they're going to use for basketball as well.
I have no doubt that this would be a terrific thing for children and friends, but
Well, especially with COVID now. I mean, you can't get space.
with
It's
or
hard
without,
to
I
get.
mean, I think it'd be great, but
There's a problem.
the problem is, in order to, and this, to be honest, I've been on the board, I think 16 years now.
Yep.
This is the largest ask I think we've ever been approached with.
Yeah. Well, there are
Especially
three.
like
There are
this,
3
for
basketball
coverage.
courts in town, I believe already. And
Well,
one is a separate structure. His name's Jim Ratliff, and I actually spoke with him.
Yeah, I
and
don't-
he has a full-size basketball court, 5,500 square feet, separate facility.
Yeah, I don't know what his situation, I don't know
Yeah.
Mr. Radcliffe, I don't know if he had to get approval or not.
I'm not sure if it
He
came on the
did.
board when we were
Yeah,
here.
I would have remembered that one.
Yeah.
He said he did. It was hard. He had to go through three or
Probably
four
go
meetings.
P&Z,
He might, it was before me, but he might have, but depending on coverage, obviously. He
Not-
might have sat
not
in
this
the
board.
zoning
Jack,
commission,
I
yeah.
can't pick you up on there, I'm
Sorry.
sorry.
That's all I had.
Oh,
Sorry.
I don't think.
Just let the record reflect that Jack spoke intelligently and made a point,
Oh, thank
important
you.
point.
That clears it all.
But the question is, it's not, look, I have no doubt this is a great idea and
Yeah.
be great for your kids and whoever else involved. But, for a variance, we're used to variances of, 3 feet on the side yard, maybe the front yard a couple feet.
Yeah.
Coverage where you're doubling the coverage.
I mean, a lot of the coverage, like
you
you
gotta
said,
show a
is the
hardship.
pool, and the patio. That's 1,500.
You got to show a hardship. You got to be unique to the land. And there's a lot of lots like this. And,
Ideally, I would like to attach it to the house, but and that would obviously change the size. I know you were asking my attorney, about how would this be different? I would love to attach it to the house, but like he said, with the hardship of the land, I can't attach it to the house because if I attach it to the house, now you could take away part of the house and convert it into it. It could be part of that,
well,
gymnasium.
we're not here to give you ideas on how to.
Yeah, no, I know.
But the problem, it's got to be unique. It can't be the same hardship that everybody would face. I'd like to put something like this in my backyard, but I know I can't. So it's got to be unique to your land to make this happen. And we have to talk about it, but it is a pretty big ask. I'll be candid with you.
The other problem, as you're well aware, is that with Orange and the connotation of residential and what a residential is supposed to be personified. When you get structures like this, and unfortunately, too bad you didn't have a set of drawings, because when you're talking 24 feet, that structure is so out of character with the rest of the house, it doesn't fit a residential plan per se. And again, this is not a criticism. I'm just saying that, it would also almost be considered a commercial building, that size. That's what I'm saying. I'm looking at it 90 by 70, and you're talking about 24 feet.
I mean, it's also like some of the barns. It's going to look similar to the barns on the community center lawn.
You're saying the outside walls are going to be at 20 feet, and it's going to be 24 feet to the center.
To the pitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But 20 feet to the outside walls. That's not your typical barn. And again, this
Some
is not
of them are that.
this is not a criticism as far as that there. It's just not unique to the property. That's all. That I see on that. And this is beyond just, we're talking about coverage. We're talking about actually what it looks like, as being considered in a residential area.
Our only requirement as a zoning board of appeals is to adjudicate whether or not a hardship, make a finding of a hardship. And if we can't find that and you start building and your neighbor appeals it,
So his only neighbor is here.
Oh,
I mean,
no.
okay,
I'm sorry.
we gotta wait till.
So, Mr. Chairman, may I just answer
Please.
so to answer the question, one of the things that you're correct, when you're granting a variance, you have to make sure it's in accordance with the comprehensive plan, which means the zoning regulations and the zoning map. And so in this particular case, the use is in accordance with the that's not an issue because you could go and get it approved by the Planning and Zoning Board as a special use, and it's been approved elsewhere in town. So I respectfully disagree that it would be considered a commercial use. I understand the concerns about the building. I thought I had sent Jack. We had a floor plan and a very straightforward elevation, but
It's a 70 by 90 metal building.
yeah.
And I'm not so concerned about its appearance.
No.
Because
I'm just
that's not our.
thinking the overall size.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
That's what I'm
placement
talking
of
about.
it. That's
It's fine.
Yeah.
God bless you that you have your kids. The only problem is they're never going to move out. That's the only
Yeah.
problem. Listen, I know, I had a daughter that didn't move out for 12 years.
Yeah, and so, and we talked about that, I mean, these are the exact concerns that we had talked about that would be raised. And Mr. Chairman, so when you say it has to be unique to this lot, I mean, I know that the board takes each application on a case-by-case basis. And, I mean, there's no, I guess from your experience being in Orange, there's a lot of other lots potentially like this, but I mean, there's
think-
nothing in the record that says that there's a lot of lots in this particular neighborhood or zone that are, like this lot and
No,
have
but
been developed in this
can't-
manner over time, so.
Can every, and this is roughly a rectangular lot, can every person who owns a rectangular lot make the same argument?
Well, I'd have to see whether they were compliant with what they were compliant with the zoning regulations or they
I would
weren't
assume
compliant.
whether they're compliant or not compliant, I don't know if it really matters, but everybody with a rectangular lot could say the same, no, I want to put a building, I need more coverage, and doesn't everybody make that same argument?
I don't know whatever. I mean, I'm not being facetious or
No,
trying to avoid
no,
the
I'm
question,
not-
but
I'm
I
not-
think that it's
Yeah.
a slippery slope to say, well, everyone can make that because this board is to take each application on a case-by-case basis. So I'm not willing to agree that everyone's going to
Okay.
come in and make that same
No,
the same arguments.
I understand that.
Maybe they come in and make different arguments, better arguments. Maybe they come in and make worse arguments. I really don't know that how that would go.
All right.
I think what the chairman's trying to say is this isn't like you have a pie-shaped lot and you've got a setback problem.
Right.
This is,
A rectangular lot?
I want to essentially build a bigger house. I'm going to move my kids out of my basement and put them in the backyard, build a bigger house on this lot. It's going to cover more space. And it doesn't matter what shape your lot is for that particular regulation. There's so much coverage you can have and never the twain shall meet. And I think that's the point he's making.
Right.
We've done a lot of these cases, and like, unique shaped lots, that's something that happens. You get the last lot in the development, it's unique shape, there may be some reason why, and we've granted variances. That's my only, it's gotta be unique to the land. Any other questions?
Well, just, I'm sorry, I just want to, I will say that, yeah. So what the net ask is, as far as increase in percentage, is 5% from what's existing.
From what's existing, but
Yeah.
you're looking for a 7% increase in coverage, approximately 7.
No, a 5% increase in coverage, but a total of, about 16.5 to 17%. But that would be 5% over what's
you already need.
existing now. Yeah, so we're not doubling the existing coverage. We're not going to 21 or 22% coverage or 20% coverage.
Well, the existing structures are 6,300 approximately, and the new construction is 6,300.
Yeah.
6,376 square feet, and you're adding approximately double the coverage, but it's only, in effect, 7%.
Percentage-wise,
Yeah,
correct.
percentage-wise,
Yeah. So it's basically a 5%.
Yeah,
ask.
so I see in your application, there's an asterisk where you note that 10% is allowed and your currently existing structures are 11.3%.
Yes.
So you're going up to, you rounded up to 17%. So I see where you're getting the 5,
Right, yeah, it's really like about 16%.
So you're already-
Yeah,
1.3% over with
Yes.
what you got. And there
Correct.
was no variance for that we're aware of. So now we're really working on another 5% over and above what you already have.
that's correct. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm
If,
sorry for pointing out the obvious.
no, but you're 100% correct. I mean, if the commission has a minute, I can maybe speak with my client. I don't know if the board would keep it open, and I mean, he has very simple elevation plans to show you what, I don't know if that makes any difference or not, or the floor plan makes any difference.
It's a strictly a coverage issue.
You do have another witness, I know. He's,
Yeah, there's
You want
a,
to take the witness?
sure.
Come on up, sir.
Okay, I'll get out of your way.
So, good evening. I'm John Longobardi, live at 660 Ridge Road, which is directly next to Rob Bosick. I've been there
Spell your
since
last name for me, please?
Longobardi.
Thank you so much.
I've been there since 1997. I've lived in the house. If you ever get a chance to just drive by right on Ridge Road, it's right around the corner here. Our two houses are basically the only houses around in a, I think it's probably a 30 or 40 acre lot that was then developed post our build in 89, as Rob said, by Toll Brothers. So if you look at kind of where we stand, we have Wright's Pond on the north of me, which is my house. So Wright's Pond, Woods, my house, Rob's house, and Woods. We're basically isolated, the two of us. We've looked at the plans. My wife and I, Sarah Longobardi, and we're very comfortable with it. We have no objections to what Rob is proposing. And if you have any questions for me, be happy to answer. But I think the only nuisance would be to us, to be honest with you.
Okay. Any questions, this gentleman? Thank you.
Okay.
Anybody wish to speak in opposition? I don't see anybody. Anything else, gentlemen?
Yeah, if I take away.
Could you step over to the microphone,
Excuse me.
please? Thank
If
you.
if I cut down take away the patio around the pool, which is 1,500 square feet, that'll cut it down to roughly 15%, 14, high 14s.
Yeah, but see,
Would that
we don't negotiate. We really can't. We got to make a finding. Now, if you want to, I guess what we could do if you want to amend your plans, but I can't tell you what to do. We can't give you advice. And like I said, we can't negotiate. We can put conditions on, but we can't put those kind of conditions on.
No, I just wasn't sure if that would help if I cut down the percentage a little bit.
Does the patio count as coverage? Didn't we have this?
Yeah,
It does.
That's in there.
No,
Yeah.
patio is considered, it doesn't come into part of coverage, not considered.
Well, we have our
If it
zoning
was a
officer
wood
right
deck,
here.
Yeah, why don't we ask
then
our
it
zoning
would.
officer?
If the patio is flush with the ground, it does not count towards
Yeah.
coverage. If it is at all raised off of the ground, it does.
It's coverage. Like a
Oh,
deck.
sorry. Well, I missed it again. If
Say
it's
it again,
flush with
John.
the ground, it does not count as coverage. If it is raised, it does.
It's flush with the ground. Yeah, it's
So it would not count as
So
coverage.
I think that, just to clarify for everybody,
Welcome.
so the application and the plans that we're showing with the calculations count that patio as coverage. Because I think the engineering firm either had a conversation with Mr. Demerjen or didn't understand had a difficulty with the communication or clarification of the regulations. So really, it would be that, minus that almost 1,500 square feet, which we could do that calculation, and that would reduce the
I don't know what the
percentage.
engineering. I don't know what the engineer did or did not count. That would be.
Well, I'm telling you that they counted the patio as coverage. I can give you a copy of these plans, but it's also, I can submit a copy of, I have the calculation on this.
I don't see this.
Yeah, they broke it down by pool, patio.
Yeah.
I will say the pool does count as coverage.
Yeah.
But I can give you,
The patio does not.
Right.
I could give you a copy of these plans, but as part of the almost 17% request, there's 1,500 square feet of patio that's flush that should not have been counted on that, so.
And then the ask would be how much? I mean, I don't know. I'm
So,
not here to calculate it.
Well,
That
you'd have to take
just reduce it.
1,500 square feet away from the 6,300
Yeah,
Right.
50%.
And then
that
you
exists. And then you're doing calculations I'm not qualified
so I
to
can,
make.
do it real quick because we have the total
think,
proposed. So you can do, Rob, if you take the 1477 off of that. So it's actually 1477 square feet. So it brings it down to 10,299 square feet. So what would that be, a percentage of the?
14.3.
It would be 14.3.
So for 4.3%.
What we would be asking, that would actually be a request of an increase of 3% of the total coverage.
Because you have 11,000.
Right. Yeah, so it would actually be an increase of 3% versus,
I think your engineer has to submit the plans to reflect that.
okay.
And if you want, I'm willing to continue it for you to resubmit your application to reflect this for the record. With the
Okay.
plans, but it's not, don't misunderstand me. It's not I don't speak for these gentlemen, but it's not an indication that it's going to be granted. It's just,
I understand.
It's just part of the application process. We
Right.
wanna Make sure.
I understand.
And again, you still have the issue of the hardship is still out there. So I don't want you to think that just by redoing the math, it's going to make a difference.
Right.
It may or may not. I don't speak for the board.
I understand.
It's your call. If you
wanna
want to leave it open,
Keep it
continue
open and
1
have the
month.
engineer submit a plan that shows the
No guarantee.
revised. Okay.
You still get that hardship hurdle you got to clear.
He should be able to just provide you with a quick calculation of what he did. You don't have to resubmit all, I don't think he has to resubmit all the plans, as long as the engineer.
No, I think just the
Shows the
application
calculate, amends the
application.
application to show the calculation of how they arrived at the numbers. And you may find other things that they can be taken out under the zoning regulations to drop the number even more.
Possibly, yeah.
That might be something to consider.
We did try to look at that pretty diligently, but, well, obviously
Well,
there was a misunderstanding.
We found something,
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Perhaps between you and the engineer and John, you guys can come up with, Jack, excuse me,
Right.
can come up with some more numbers.
So you want to continue this for
Yes,
30
please.
days?
Yes, please.
You have to bring that to a motion, right?
Yeah, I think we have to do by motion, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
All right, is there a motion, is there
We may,
a motion to continue it for 30 days?
I make a motion to
For
continue it for
resubmission.
30 days.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, see you in 30 days.
All right.
Matt said that too.
Thank you.
Glad you're still with us, Matt.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Any other business before the board?
No.
Is there a motion to close the meeting?
Make a motion?
Pat makes a motion, David seconds it, Greg thirds it, we are closed. Thank you.
I like you sitting there.
Off the record?